Welcome to Coffee with Alain on this Monday morning. I appreciate everybody that joins, listens to replays, watches replays, listens to the podcast, whether it's at enjoylifesafely.com website, whether it's at Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, watching, thank you. Hope you enjoyed last night's newsletter. Had some good holiday things in there, staying safe, enjoying the holidays. If you're not getting that, go to enjoylifesafely.com, sign up for it. You know, I'm drinking out of a Walt cup. You can see Walt Disney there, different pictures of Walt on that mug. And the reason is, on December 15th, 1966, just a couple months before I was born, Walt passed away at the age of 65. Lung cancer. He smoked heavily. One of the drawbacks of, character traits that I don't admire about Walt. I admire an awful lot, but he was a smoker. He smoked heavily, and he died of lung cancer, January 15th, 1966. But that, was sort of a sign of the times. A lot of people smoked back then that they don't now. People still smoke today, and I don't understand why, but just was thinking of Walt, be going to visit Disney World next week, a legacy that, he created that lives on bigger and better than he maybe even dreamed. Although he was a hell of a dreamer, so he probably did dream it. And I get to see the Dreamer statue at Epcot Center. Wasn't there the last couple times I was at the park, so that's a highlight for me, is to be able to see that statue and get a picture with it. So that's why I'm drinking out of the Walt cup. But what I wanted to talk about today is some of the terrible things that have gone on. I mean, it just was a depressing, terrible weekend if you look at some of the news reports. We had the shooter at Brown University. My daughter texted me, she got back from Europe. She's back at Penn now, another Ivy League school. So obviously the Ivy League schools, being that community, are affected because that was the first of these active killers on an Ivy League university. And so she, texted last night that she's sad because of this. They don't have the shooter, which is unusual. Often they commit suicide or they're killed or captured by law enforcement. They had a person of interest that they released, so the person who killed those students and wounded many others is still at large, which is scary for a lot of people in that community, and rightfully so. And why everybody needs to be alert and paying attention. And if they notice anything unusual or something that matches some of what the law enforcement officer is looking for, is to report that and let the law enforcement officers do their job and hopefully catch this person, apprehend him soon, and go through the proper channels of what needs to be done. But, just terrible. And then we have Sydney, 15 people killed there at that Jewish Hanukkah celebration. It's supposed to be a time of joy, at the holiday season, and 15 people were killed. A heroic individual that took down the one shooter, and, just great respect for him. It proves that ordinary people can rise up and do things to save themselves and others, because they do. And he was a perfect example of that. He was a hero. He saved lives. He was wounded, shot twice doing it. But he lived and he saved others. So just, I have to say kudos to him. Great respect to him. Can't say enough about, I want to pull up his name here because I forgot his name off the tip of my tongue. Ahmed Al-Ahmed is his name. So, yes, just a heroic individual that stopped that killer from killing other people. And so it just proves that ordinary people can and do. And that's why I'm out there teaching and training. And I wrote the book and my self-defense course and all that, because ordinary people can defend themselves. Ordinary people can stop killers. And no, it doesn't take a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. That can help at times, yes, but ordinary people without firearms have stopped killers just like he did in Sydney. So, just great respect for him. Then we have the Rob Reiner and his wife being found, which they suspect could be a homicide. It's still under investigation. They haven't released an official cause of death or called it that yet. It's just an under investigation, but it's looking like a homicide. I remember watching Rob Reiner on All in the Family, Archie Bunker. He was great in that. He won awards for that. But then the movies he's created throughout the years, Spinal Tap, and then the brand new one that came out this year. Then Stand By Me, taking that Stephen King story, such a great movie. A Few Good Men, Princess Bride, Harry Met Sally. I mean, just a fabulous director, and then to be murdered here in the holiday season. Just, terrible. But I don't want to focus just on the terribleness. I got a quote here from the Day Planner. We have only this moment, sparkling like a star in our hands and melting like a snowflake. Marie Benin-Ray. And she's right. We only have this moment. And we can take a moment to feel sad and mourn for the loss of these different individuals, different places in the world, and the different terrible things that are going on that we haven't read about or I haven't talked about today. Those aren't the only bad things that have happened. But we have to remember that we only have this moment. And while we can take a moment to mourn, we can take a moment to feel sad, angry, feelings that are going to arise when these things happen. We also have to remember that there is good in this life too. There's good in this world. Even when the world feels heavy with loss and hard moments, goodness still exists. It shows up in small kindnesses, shared strength, and the quiet choice to keep going. And that's what all of us need to do. We need to be a little bit more kind to those that we're interacting with. I mean, it's the holiday season. Let's spread joy and kindness to those that, whether it's at the store, at the restaurant, the person bringing you your meal or your mail, your neighbor, your family members. Let's show small kindnesses. Let's share some strength to those that are going through difficult times. I mean, there's some people that we just talked about going through very difficult times, and they'll need some shared strength to help them through this season. Sandy Hook was in this season, and I'm sure those parents and those families that lost those young children still have trouble in this season, and they'll need some shared strength. And we all just may have to make the choice to keep going forward, regardless of the loss and hard moments that we're experiencing. We must find the strength, find the determination, the discipline to keep going. And I'm not saying it's easy, but we need to find that. Want to say good morning to a few people. Thad was here and said good morning. Thank you, Thad. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a good morning as well. Dixon's here. Dixon said, did they take this statue on tour? Why wasn't it at the main Disney theme park? Well, there's a couple things, Dixon. There's a number of statues of Walt. And the partner statue, which is the one here on the mug. Let me show that here real quick. So the partner statue, that is at Disneyland and Disney World and a few other places. They have that statue. And that's one of my favorites, him and Mickey holding hands. You know, it all started with a mouse. But now they also, you've seen me with pictures, and I'm going to show this here. This statue is only at the California park. You've seen me with pictures of that one. And so that's a cool statue as well. But the brand new one that is at Epcot Center is this statue. And I'm showing here where he's seated. That's the new Dreamer statue that is at Epcot and that I've never seen because it wasn't there last times I was there. So that's the statue that I'm looking forward to seeing on this particular trip. And I actually have the partner statue over there too, a couple of them in the office. I just showed the one on my cup, but so I have replicas of these different statues. If you're listening to it, I showed those on the video. So, but this will be the first time I get to see that where he's sitting, and you'll see pictures of me with that statue after the trip. You know, I'm looking forward to that because I have pictures of me with the others, but not this one yet. Richard's here and said, good morning. Rough weekend. Thank you for continuing to put out the good vibes. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. I'm doing my best. You know, my whole goal is to share things that can help people. One is to make sure that, you know, we have the strength and determination and we can get through difficult times. One is how to stay safe, how to defend yourself if you have to, so we can just enjoy more of the good things. And there are so many good things out there too. The news this morning, last night, focused on the bad things. Brown, Sydney, Rob Reiner. I mean, those were 3 top news stories in all the news channels. There are many, many good things, good celebrations going on all over the world right now too, where bad events did not ruin them. We got to remember those. We have to remember that there are good things still existing. Goodness still exists, even when the world feels heavy and we are faced with some of these hard moments. And that's what I want people to remember and focus on and help others that might be having trouble doing that. Dixon said, I get it now, sort of like Rodin's thinker, i.e. sitting down. Yep. So that's the statue. Like I said, that's brand new. Wasn't there the last times I visited Epcot Center, but it's at the Epcot Park now. One of the versions of Partners, him and Mickey, that's at Magic Kingdom in Florida. So you got to go to the Magic Kingdom park to see Partners. You got to go to Epcot. Just like in California, you have Partners at Disneyland, and you have to go to the California park to see the younger Disney with the Mickey. I actually have a picture of this on the wall too, of that statue, a framed photo and stuff. Not a photo, but a painting, an illustration of that. I really admired Walt, and that's why today, the day of his death, meant something to me. 10 days after his birthday. I didn't mention his birthday on the 5th because I was waiting to just talk about it today. That's what I got for you today, folks. I just wanted to mention some of the negativity that's going on, the terrible events, just a sad weekend in some different places, and remind people that goodness still exists. And we can share some small kindnesses, share some strength to those that need it, and choose to keep going and help those that are having tough times with that choice. Make it a marvelous Monday, everyone. We'll be back to see you tomorrow.